Hey guys, welcome back to another video in our complete UniFi and Synology network build course. We've been progressing through how to build the network side of things, but we're finally reaching the point where we are going to start using the UniFi video equipment. Now, Ubiquiti does offer an NVR product that is supposed to be more plug and play, but for the price I wanted something a little more flexible. What's nice with using a Synology is that I can use it for numerous things. I was also able to get this Synology with the discs for under $1,000, which I'll be sure to link to in the description below. Now we will be adding our UniFi Video Controller to our Synology NAS device using Docker. First thing that we'll want to do is download the Docker package. You can find this in Package Center, and all we need to do is search for Docker. Click on Install, and it will download the package for us. Once it's done downloading, we'll want to open up Docker, and then we will want to search for our Docker image through the registry. So the one that we want specifically is the UniFi-video. And the image that we want specifically is the one by P. Ducharme. You can either right-click on this or double-click on it to start the installation. And we have some options for the tag, so I'm just going to choose the latest. We can click on the image tab here and see that the image is starting the download. Once our image is downloaded, we can now start the process of creating our container. But before you ever try to run a container, always check the README file. You can find this by clicking on the link icon near the image name. At first glance, you can see that we have some variables that we need to set, specifically for the data, videos, and logs. Down at the bottom here, you'll notice that there are some other options that are needed to be added in the event of an error being displayed. I'm just going to save you the headache up front. If you use the graphical interface of the Synology operating system to configure your container, you will get this error at the bottom. This means we need to use the command line to create our Docker container instead. So good thing that we learned how to SSH into the Synology in the last video, because we're definitely going to need that knowledge in this video. But before we start throwing Docker commands at our Synology box, we need to prepare an area for our Docker data to be stored. We're going to SSH into the Synology to create these directories and to help keep everything organized. So open up your terminal and SSH into your server. We're then going to want to change to the root user and put in your password to the Synology to gain root access. If we look under the Volume 1 folder, you can see that we have a Docker folder that was created for us. If I change into that Docker folder, you can see that it's empty. Now we don't want to just throw in our data directories into here. We have to think into the future and believe that we will probably be using other Docker containers in this folder as well. So I can do mkdir UniFi video. But remember when I said it was important to check the README before you started creating images? We also need to create these three folders as well. So what we're going to do is actually modify this command. And we're just going to go down the line of making a data, the videos, and we need a logs folder as well. So we can see that it's now created. If I look in the UniFi video and take a look at this, we have all three folders created. Now, one other problem with this is that our folders are owned by root. And this could possibly be a security issue if you're running a privileged versus an unprivileged container. So to prevent this, in the event of a container being compromised, we'll want to set the file permissions to exactly match what we have in the command that we will want to run. You can see in the README process, or in the README file itself, that it has the user of 99 and the group of 100 that should own the files. We'll want to match our folder permissions to this as well. We can do this all in one command and take a look, and now it's owned by nobody, which will prevent our container from accessing things that it should not. Now that we have our directory set up, we will want to copy the command that is provided on the README, but we'll want to make a number of adjustments. So let's just throw this into Sublime Text for now. First of all, we need to fill in the correct directories. So I'm just going to do this, paste in, we have the data, then we have the videos, and then we have the logs down here as well. After that, we'll also need that fix in order for a container to execute correctly. So if I switch back to the README, and we can see this section here, we need to add this option. So if I grab that and switch back to Sublime Text, I can just add that right below here, which will then do an unconfined option for AppArmor. I also want to put a -D to flag this command to run in the background and not as a one-time run in the foreground. I'm going to set this container to always restart unless it's been stopped. So if for some reason the container is powered off before the system does a reboot, it will not restart that container. But if my container has been running and there's been a power outage and the system comes back up, it will start my container as well. Another important option to add will be this network host. So network host puts our container on the same network as our host of the Synology. And what that means is that our cameras can have direct access to our controller, and it doesn't put it into a small virtualized network within Docker itself. So put that in there so you have the easiest discovery of all your camera devices. And since we added the host network, now we can get rid of these port forwarding rules, which will save us some lines on the command. So one other thing that we should do is always make sure that your time zone is set correctly, because if somebody were to break into your building, you want to make sure that you're mapping the time to exactly when that happened. Awesome, so now we can copy this giant command that we have, and let's just move over to our terminal here and paste this entire thing in. Fantastic, we get the response of a running container ID, and we can also see the container is running in our Synology GUI by just checking here under container, and you can see that it's running right here. Now that our container is running, we should be able to access it by opening up a new tab, doing https://netsrv01, and we need to add :7443. And this will take us to, okay, yep, we get this, your connection's not secure, that's completely fine. It's a self-signed certificate. I'm just going to confirm that exception, and then now we're ready to set up our UniFi Video Controller. So complete the information as needed. I'm just going to call this server side up. Of course, you need to agree and sign your life away, so press next. And then create your first admin account. I'm just going to give it a simple name for the time being. And of course, passwords don't match, so let's try this one more time. And so here you get a camera recovery password. Now I'm doing this in Firefox, but for some reason in Firefox the camera password's hidden. So that's fine, you can always come back to this later under the settings, but we're just going to press continue for now, and that's all it pretty much takes to set up the controller. We now have our controller configured. You can see that I have two cameras here that are they say managed by others, but I just have to reset them and join them to this controller itself. But at least we have a controller running, and all of our data will be stored under the file station here, and we can go to Docker, UniFi Video, and you can see this area is already populated by our container. So looking back at the controller, we'll get into camera adoption and all that jazz in a later video, but at least now you know how to set up a UniFi controller on a Synology NAS server. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up below. I'm also working on some additional videos, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and get notified once they are available. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. Just drop them down in the comments below or hit us up on Twitter. You can also help us keep the lights on by supporting us on Patreon. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to seeing you next time.